Hi, and welcome to the Springwise Solutions podcast, ChangeNOW 2023 Special Edition. My name is James Bidwell. I am the CEO of Springwise, the leading global innovation platform, storyteller, and innovator accelerator. And I'm here with the co-founder and CEO of ChangeNOW, Santiago Lefebvre. Hi, Santiago.
Hi. Thank you, James, for coming this year again.
Well, it's amazing to be here, and we are sitting, just for everyone who's listening, we're sitting in the middle of ChangeNOW in a podcast cube, surrounded by, I think, more people than I've ever seen at any of the other editions. And it just is, the energy at ChangeNOW this year is extraordinary. How are you feeling about it, Santiago? And we're in day 2, by the way.
Yeah, we're on day 2, and we are still super excited because we're not even halfway to the end of the event, and already so many great things happened, so great encounters. We already have great feedback of people willing to collaborate with each other. So I think that at the end of the 3 days, this will be an amazing edition.
It's extraordinary, and the mix of people here, and everything from big brands to investors, but the innovators, the activists, the
artists.
The artists. I mean, the creativity. Yeah. Exactly. Tell us, how do you think about that? Curating that group of people.
Well, originally, ChangeNOW started with really in its core the service to the entrepreneurs. Saying, okay, look, you have great entrepreneurs trying to solve concrete issues. And we need to bring to them what they need. It's funding, skills, commercial access to markets. And so to do that, we had investors and corporate partners. So this is the main core. And then more and more as we progress also in our development, in our thought process, we just identify that this transition needs to really integrate everyone. Every part of society needs to be included in this transition. And that changing the system is something that everyone has to do with complementary strategies. Because a system is very hard to change. And if you just attack the system on just one side, you can't really change it because it's like a fluid. So it's just displacing the issue. You need to attack it on other sides also, and you do that by always trying to wonder yourself, who is the stakeholder that needs to be around the table that we don't have yet? And that's how we had more and more different types of participants to ChangeNOW.
And it does feel like the energy around some of the conversations, and I've been moderating, as you know, some of the panels, and the mix of people and participants. I've had massive brands, but I've had entrepreneurs, startups, visionary thinkers, and what you do so well is you curate those conversations that result in in transformation and that change happening. And I think I don't know if you've heard some examples of we're only in the middle of we're halfway through almost, I guess, but. Have you seen some examples of kind of ideas or collaborations that have come out so far this year?
So yes, and so one of the great speakers we have this year, and we have many speakers. We have 400 amazing speakers. One of them is Kate Raworth from the Donut Economics.
Yep, I introduced her.
Yeah,
on the stage yesterday.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we already had feedback from CEOs and policymakers saying, wow, I'm just discovering that. And this is a framework I really want to explore. So already this is something that, in terms of mind shift, is interesting. We create this spark of, you can look at the issue differently and talk to Kate because she knows what she's talking about.
Okay. It's fantastic. Yeah.
This is one. We also had the same thing for the MIT Climate Pathways, which is a great tool where it's like a simulator where you make you enter in the computer your decisions in terms of policies for climate, and it shows you how the curve of the 1.5 degrees of the warming globally changes. And so we did this great session, and we already had some policymakers saying, can you put us in touch with MIT? We want to use that to make our tests. So
it's extraordinary. I mean, and I think what you do brilliantly is not only the connections, but also you convene people from around the world. So you and I were in Boston for the Earthshot Prize final last December, and it's great to see some of those meetings, I guess, come to fruition now here. And I've just been on a panel with a lady who came from Auckland. I know they all think a lot about traveling, and it's important, because of the footprint. But those global conversations that can really give, advance the agenda, dramatically, which is what we need to do, right?
Yeah, and regarding travel, that's true, and we consider that from the very beginning of the process of the building of the event, the construction of the event, because when we find a great speaker or a great solution or someone who's coming from abroad, from far, we are wondering ourselves, what can we bring to him on top of just being a speaker? If he's just a speaker, he can just do that remotely, and that's fine. But if we manage to organize for him a 3 days full of impact, there we say, okay, that's worth his trip. And so we are always thinking about I would say that, is it useful, the usefulness of coming to ChangeNOW. And for example, this year we have right now the director of the Great Green Wall, the great project in Africa of reforestation. And he's here, and he has already met amazing people like the president of the COP15 on desertification. They never met before, and he's meeting other mayors, he's meeting policymakers, and all this is also something that he's done here, and that's great.
No, it's extraordinary to see, and for the Springwise audience who are listening to this. I mean, I always think that a lot of ChangeNOW is, Springwise as an event with all the innovators and the solutions around. And a lot of the ones I've been talking to, and some of them are on our ChangeNOW channel on the Springwise app and covered by Springwise, but they're saying to me that they are, they're not only here to show off, but they're here to make really, really important connections and and sometimes connections that they didn't expect. So what's always great about this is the thing that wasn't expected, and being part of a movement and giving confidence, because it's lonely being an entrepreneur, it's lonely being a startup, and actually seeing that there is momentum not only from the startup community, but also from the policy community, the investor community, and the kind of the big brand owner communities. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's part of the magic, right?
Yeah, and we call that the serendipity,
Yes.
This is something that is, at the same time, something we try to organize, and something that is totally due to the opportunity that comes up, But we try to organize a lot of networking. We have closed-door meetings or workshops that are really focused. For example, we have 30 mayors meeting all together right now. And we know that because we have this critical mass of mayors, we can just put there the right solutions, the right startups that will match the expectations of mayors. And then we don't know exactly what happens there, but definitely we created the conditions for this magic of the great encounter to happen.
And I remember last year I was doing a mayor. I was talking to some mayors on one of the sessions I chaired, and there was the lady from Athens, the chief heat officer. Yep. And that was almost the first time that many people had heard about this role. I think she was the first in Europe. But since then, that was a big catalyst for change, for that sort of thinking and thinking about resilience in cities, and then the solutions that come from that. And there were a couple of solutions on the panel who were looking at this and looking at mapping cities according to how they should plant trees and all of those sorts of things, which are all new challenges, but also challenges that need to be addressed. And that's the alchemy of ChangeNOW. And what is on the agenda for the mayors this year? What are the big issues that they're thinking about?
For the mayors?
Yeah, for the mayors. Okay. Is there a sort of urban kind of...
Well, one of the issues, well, definitely there is adaptation.
Yep.
And how can we give back some space for biodiversity in your city? You know.
Yep.
And this is not super easy because when you need to bring back biodiversity, that sometimes needs also to destroy some buildings or some spaces. But also there is this question of water. How can you develop new parks, new trees without a lot of water? Because your cities are also today have this issue with water quantity. You know.
Yep. And what you're also, I guess, identifying is the future issues that we're going to be facing, and clearly water is going to be one of those. And I was really excited to be hosting or moderating the panel on planetary boundaries and aligning planetary boundaries with business, and that was a brand new session for ChangeNOW this year. And what it certainly taught me that it's not that carbon's not mission critical, but there are other things that we need to be looking at, which is in one hand a bit depressing because we're not getting there are more issues coming up, I guess, than are being solved at the moment. But how did you think about that? Have you found that sort of opening up and that new broader agenda has taken hold?
Well, I think that we are more and more going out from this carbon tunnel vision, but it's still super important to continue to say that we have other issues to tackle at the same time. Otherwise, indeed, someone was saying yesterday that that we can try and work on climate, and then we'll need again several decades to solve the problem of biodiversity, and then other decades. Actually, no, we need to tackle everything at the same time. Here at ChangeNOW, our vision is that we say that we have four main equations, which is the climate, which is the biodiversity, and Johan Rockström from the Planetary Boundaries says that biodiversity is even maybe the most overshoot today.
Yeah.
Then there is the resources. How can we just do not consume 2 planets every year? And then the inclusion and values of society. So how can we make this transition inclusive and all this? Yeah.
And one of the great things that I've really enjoyed is the human factor and the emotion and people really thinking from the heart and the frisson, as you say, when someone is presenting and you just go, oh my goodness, this person is amazing. But also the understanding now, I think, from some of the business leaders that the human factor and the kind of presence is becoming more and more important to drive purposeful organizations forward. Mm-hmm. And that's very intentional, I think, from the ChangeNOW team and how you curate. And of course, you had this incredible opening with Mathieu Ricard. Tell me a bit about how that went and how did that come about?
Well, usually the curve of learning we do at ChangeNOW is that we start with the solutions, and then we at the end we finish with words of wisdom, so everyone can just leave from here full and recharged with stronger values. But there is a sentence that I heard from David Attenborough, who said, intelligence took us where we are, and it's intelligence and it's wisdom, who will take us where we need to go. Okay, and so we say this is so important that we're going to start with wisdom this year, and that gives us also the opportunity to bring another value which is super fundamental in what we need to do. It's courage, because actually we have proof of many people committing in this transition that needs a lot of courage sometimes. We'll have tomorrow the Chief Raoni, for example, finishing the session, but also a very young activist who's Francisco Vera. He had the courage at 9 years old to create a platform in Colombia.
Wow.
He had a lot of pressures on him at a very young age, and still he has this courage to continue whatever. So we just want to salute this those proofs of courage, and there is no age of courage for courage, because it goes from the very young activists to the I would say the most experienced indigenous.
Exactly. I'm a bit older than some of the people here, so but that courage and the boldness is a common thread, and you were very clear on that. And the other quote I remember from your introduction was, "The future is getting shorter." Yeah. That's a big quote. That's a big thought, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, this is the first time we can talk about, or we talk about the consequences of climate change at the present tense.
Yeah.
Every years before we're saying this is going to happen soon, but I think that everyone has experienced at least one consequence of climate change this year. So we are in it, and now we just need to move, I guess, relentlessly, actually. I can't say faster and faster, because the thing is that we're always saying that. For me now, we need to do things relentlessly and do that seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's it's a tough message, but it is the message. And I've been asking, my speakers, what's the one thing that you want the audience to do now when they leave the session? And one of the best ones was, very simply, just every decision you make, think about Mother Earth, the planet, and make the right decision and do the right thing. And I think that's, it's very powerful. It's very simple, and it's within us. It's within us as individuals, and it's no longer kind of an sort of esoteric out there in the future, as you say, Santiago.
Yeah.
So look, I'm going to wrap this now. I'm going to let you have a final word, but I just want to say to the audience, the Springwise audience, that and we have a big investment community and media community and education community, as well as our innovation community, who'll be listening to this. And I know many of them are here, and we had a fantastic Springwise meetup, which we'll look forward to next year as well. But I think this is a tipping point for ChangeNOW. I think your momentum is incredible, and the importance of it, you'll see, is going to grow in stature, and you've got this incredible global reach. I'm so proud, Santiago, to be part of it. It makes me, we were saying how excited we are to be here, and it's our kind of highlight to come and support you here. But what's the one thing you would like to say to the Springwise community? And is there anything we should look out for once the event is over and in the next few months?
Yeah. So definitely I would say that the first thing is to continue to act, because I know that in the Springwise community there are so many change makers, and it's very important just to, as I was saying, to relentlessly continue to do what they are doing, because sometimes it can just, we can just feel a bit overwhelmed with what's happening, but we need to have in mind that we are all, with our solutions, changing the system one solution at a time. Okay? And this is the addition of the solutions that will really change things. There is no one solution that can change everything. This is not just changing energy that will change things. We need something which is much wider, and this goes through the huge diversity of what we can do altogether at personal level, but mainly also by shifting the business models we all have.
Amazing. Well, congratulations again for creating this extraordinary movement. It is a movement. And thank you for spending the time, because you're a busy man today. It's been lovely to see you again, and I look forward to catching up again after this amazing event has finished. And thank you, Santiago Lefebvre.
Well, thank you very much.